Hello and welcome live from the F1 in Schools HQ factory in Brighouse for the 2022 regional finals for Wales. We're really excited to be here and we've got a great show lined up for you. Before we check that out, let's see who's in the studio with me. We've got Lawrence, we've got Nelson and we've got Amy, and we're all going to give you a lovely cringy wave. Well, you're all here to find out how your cars are going to perform in our racing show. So let's find out what else is going to be part of the show today. So we've got meeting the teams. You're going to see who you're up against in the regional today. You've also got a message support from Clare Crowley-Davies, a teacher from the Wales region who's had a team blackout on the podium at the World Finals this season. And then we're going to get into the most exciting part of the show. We've got racing from the entry class through to the development class and finally into our professional class cars. We're really excited here in the studio and we can't wait to get going with the racing. But before we do that, let's check out what F1 in Schools is all about.
What is F1 in Schools?
F1 in Schools is a global STEM challenge, working with industry partners to provide an exciting and challenging educational experience. A group of 3 to 6 students form a team, think of a name, allocate job roles, and start to design their miniature Formula One car of the future. The teams follow a systematic engineering design process to manufacture and race their cars, making sure they comply with a comprehensive set of technical regulations. To do this, they use professional CAD software, like Autodesk Fusion 360, and manufacture their car components using CNC machines. Once the cars are painted and assembled, they take to the track to race. Powered by compressed gas along a 20-metre racetrack, the cars are capable of speeds over 75 kilometres per hour. The racing is fast and exciting, but there is more to the challenge, as it inspires learning not only in STEM subjects, but wider skills including project management, marketing, teamwork, innovation and communication. These wider skills are assessed by judges from education and industry. At competitions, the teams submit their cars and portfolios and also give a project presentation. F1 in Schools operates globally from ages 9 to 19, with teams taking part in school, regional and national level competitions. With the winners progressing at each stage, only the very best make it through to the World Finals. F1 in Schools is a life-changing experience for all involved, with many success stories of competitors who've come through F1 in Schools and have gone on to achieve significant outcomes in their lives. For some, that means working in Formula One, where the experience of F1 in Schools serves as the ideal grounding for the challenges and demands of elite-level competition.
Well, we love that video. It's great to see and get excited for the F1 in Schools competition. Hope you guys are excited as we are. I think I've said that a couple of times now. That's because I am really excited. So let's check out who's competing against you in this region. So here we have it, the Wales region. And there we go. The teams are loading in. We've got the entry class ones, followed by the development class ones. And finally, we've got 5 professional class teams to finish off this region. Really exciting times. Some of our teams have sent in introduction videos, 20-second clips. So let's have a look and meet some of our teams.
Hi, we're Apex Racing
Muscle Brunellian
in North Wales.
Shemai, we are Team Airborne. New Team Poseidon.
Hi, we are Red Dawn Racing.
Hello, we are Team Talon.
Hello, we are Imperium.
We are
Hi, we're Team Firestorm.
Love that. Absolutely love seeing the teams, seeing the students and sending in those videos. Absolutely brilliant. And to all the teams who haven't, we can't wait to get back in person and see you guys soon. So we're happy to announce that the national final is going to be at Autosport International in 2023, and that is an in-person physical event. So we can't wait to get back out on track. And also, our registration is open for the 2023 season with everything back in person, and we can't wait to get in person, can we, Nelson?
No, it's great. It's great to see the energy of the students when they are about to race and pick up the triggers and trying to get the best reaction times. But we're almost there. We have this hopefully final virtual season. The next one will be all together, I'm sure.
Let's hope so, Nelson. So before we do get down to some of the racing, we're just going to go and hear from Clare Crowley-Davies and just see what she has to say about F1 in schools and her experiences.
Hi, I'm Clare Crowley-Davies, lead teacher for Blackout Wales and one of the DT staff at St John's College, Cardiff. Initially, we ran our F1 Challenge as a lunchtime club for Key Stage 4 to enhance interest in STEM and also allow pupils to experience new opportunities to write about in their CVs or indeed their applications for our sixth form. After experiencing our first live event, we realised that this project had the potential to engage all ages of pupils, and we decided that what best way to engage in engineering was to have real life problems and to see that what they were doing was actually part of the real life F1 world. The F1 in School Challenge is really multifaceted and there are opportunities in many areas. It's not just designing a fast car, although that does help. The F1 Challenge brings out the best in people. It gives the students an opportunity to work with others, the people they wouldn't normally work with. They wouldn't normally interact with these people in a normal school-to-school day, but coming into the workshop and they create excellent bonds and they develop their own skills. And from personal experience, confidence, problem solving, persistence and resilience are the key skills that every member of the team will take away. I also think a major sense of humour. If you lose your sense of humour, then things can go very, very wrong. Why would I encourage people to get involved in Formula One in schools? Why wouldn't I? I'm not going to say that it's been relaxing or an easy addition to my normal teaching commitments, but it's certainly encompassed most of the highlights of my teaching career. The chance to work closely with some of the most brilliant students and driven children in the school, it can teach you something daily, things that you never even dreamt of learning and things that sometimes you didn't even think you needed to know. Experiencing opportunities in the day-to-day curriculum is nothing like working on an F1 in schools project. You can meet people from all over the world, you can see people's different outlooks for ways of managing different teams, and seeing your students achieve at the highest level and the highest level of problem solving and reaping the rewards of their hard work in one of the most exciting sports in the world is possibly something that you couldn't even recreate in a normal teaching day. My final little bit of advice from years of competing with a variety of different age groups and different personalities and different teams is have patience. Enjoy every experience. You aren't always going to be able to problem solve. You aren't always going to be winning, but what you're doing is gaining invaluable skills and working towards a goal that you will have memories for life. I've had so many memories just of silly little things that have happened. It's been absolutely awesome. So I just want to say, good luck teams. I'm sure this season is going to be awesome, and well done everybody for getting this far.
Thank you very much for that, Claire, and I'm sure the season is going to be absolutely awesome, and I'm sure this region is going to be absolutely awesome too. So good luck to St John's College and the rest of the teams competing in today's racing show. So in a second we're going to get out on track, but before we do that we need to know what the format for racing is because it's slightly different as we are in person. Nelson, would you like to talk us through the format of the racing, please?
Sure thing, Tom. So this is what's about to happen. So every car will race 4 times. So they will race twice in each of the lanes. So the lowest team number will start in lane 1. There's going to be a lane swap after race 2. There's no reaction times, unfortunately, because we don't have the students, so all automatic races. Any breakages occur, they will be fixed by F1 in Schools HQ staff. And most important of it all, only the fastest compliant car can win.
Great stuff. Thanks for that, Nelson. Well, it's time. Let's go racing. We're going to start off in the entry class and work our way through into the development and then the professional classes. So what kind of things do entry class teams have to meet, or what regulations are there, Nelson?
Entry class teams. Right, so they need to use standard wheels and axle guides. There's a no-go zone that they cannot cut into. And actually the wheels, they're mandatory like in development class, just making comparing it here to development class. The weight limit as a minimum is 65 grams, whereas in development class they can go up to 60 grams. And in entry class, one of the beauties of the classes, and that's why it's so flexible and we have lots of registrations, is that actually they can manufacture the car 3 ways. Hand carving, fully 3D printing, or actually going and experimenting a CNC machine.
Great stuff. Thanks for that, Nelson. Let's find out who the first 2 teams in the regional competition for entry class are, Amy.
So, pub luck to every single team in the Welsh region. The first 2 cars we'll be having on track are Apex and Axel.
Wow, some great looking cars for our first race. Similar looking designs, but what can you pull out from that, Lawrence, for us?
Yeah, so as you point out, Tom, with those similar aerodynamic concepts, we're looking for these other features that will differentiate them. So those key differentiators really are the masses of the cars, and we can see that Apex might have been on the burgers a bit. It is 15 grams heavier, with Axel actually right down at the minimum weight. That's a really great effort by those guys with their fantastic looking car too. But the other thing that'll play a factor is just the assembly of those wheel systems. You know, the straighter they are, the less resistance they'll be feeling as they race down the track, and the faster they'll reach the finish.
So let's see if them Big Macs or Big Tasties are going to have an impact on the first race. Let's get out on track.
Race 1, so we have in lane 1 Team Apex, in lane 2 Team Axel.
And a very quick time from Axel there with a 1.270. Apex close behind with a 1.472.
Wow, great first times there for our teams. Well done in posting those scores. Obviously, lots of hard work and effort has gone into these cars, so it's fantastic to see such a strong start to this competition. Let's head out back on track and get to race number 2.
Number 2 with Team Apex still in lane 1 and Axel in lane 2.
And there we have another win for Axel with a 1.277. Apex close behind with a 1.506.
Wow, well done to Team Axel, posting 2 incredibly fast scores straight out of the entry class. Looks like they've done a great job with their car, and Team Apex getting consistent times there, which is really, really strong stuff. So really, really well done. So we've got a track team out there, Max and Amy. They're pulling the cars back and switching the lanes, loading the cartridges. They're getting their step counters up really, really high. So let's see. Yep, they're ready out on track. Let's go out there now and see how the cars perform in race number 3.
Race number 3 now with Axel in lane 1 and Apex in lane 2.
And it's another win for Axel with a 1.311. Apex touring that consistent 1.5 with a 1.561.
Great consistent times. Now, how easy is it to get consistent times, Lawrence, for our teams?
I mean, not at all, because for the consistency, you really need that build quality and care and attention throughout. So when we do see those consistent times, it's a real sign that the teams have done a good job with the build of their car. We can see, thankfully, we haven't seen so far breakages as well, and that's the result of considerate design. You know, they're understanding that these cars can get up to really high speeds of like almost 70 kilometers, I believe, but then they have to decelerate within such a small area, like less than a meter, which is quite a violent process. So when they do design these robust cars that are made to race again and again, that's really good to see.
Great stuff. Thanks for that, Lawrence. Well, let's head out on track then and see what happens in the 4th race.
4th and final race with Team Axel in lane 1 and Apex in lane 2.
And Axel taking that full house, the 1.353. Apex going a little bit quicker with a 1.507.
Well done again. They must have that really good build to both cars, because both getting really consistent times, so kudos to both teams. So let's check out the leaderboard for the very first time in this region. So there we have it. Apex are there in position 1 with that 1.270. Great time. And Axel there with a 1.311. But what do we notice as an asterisk after Team Apex? Nelson, can you just explain what that means?
Yeah, so any team that has an asterisk in front of its name, it means that it's flagged to be under investigation for a technical regulation infringement. That means that the teams are measured to all technical specifications by the rules and regulations just before they go to the track. some teams are flagged to have failed. Some regulations have a more deep impact on the car's performance. So we don't want a team to have kind of an unfair advantage in face of another team. So unfortunately, the consequence is a point penalty during scrutineering, but also a consequence of not being able to win the fastest car award or the best engineering award. It doesn't mean that they cannot take first place overall, but there's going to have to be a consequence for the team that infringes that specific regulation. So let's see in the award ceremony.
Let's see in the awards ceremony indeed, and we're going to be live from F1 in Schools HQ with the awards ceremony tomorrow. So make sure you are back online and you are checking out to see if you win any awards. Right, let's head over to the next two teams then, please, Amy.
And the next two cars on track are going to be Mechtamolin and Poseidon.
Well, I'm really glad we've got our Wales contingent in the studio today with Amy pronouncing the team names absolutely beautifully. I'm not sure that, that I could do that myself. So I'm going to leave that over to you, Lawrence. Good luck.
Well, I think I'd struggle. So our beautiful streamlined black car on the left, we can see that they've tried to enclose the rear wheels within the bodywork, a bit more like a Le Mans racer perhaps than a Formula One car. I think what they're aiming to do here is just enclose that turbulent air generated as the wheels spin round as it flies down the track. The Poseidon car, a totally different concept. This has the really narrow side pods just fitting that no-go zone within them. And they're trying to actually direct the air between the rear wheels, making sure it doesn't actually reach them. Both cars are super close to the minimum weight again. I think this is going to be a really exciting race.
Yeah, it looks it on paper. So let's head out there to race number one.
Race number one in lane one with Mechtamolin. In lane one and lane two, Poseidon.
Well, you're all going to be having a Welsh lesson after this. Poseidon with a 1.298, Mechtamolin with a 1.345.
Wow,
well, not melting then.
No, we're not
you know,
melting
Amy,
the
the only thing I like to see melting is the cheese on my cheeseburger, maybe with a milkshake. Or maybe with some nuggets in the end. Sorry guys, I'm just hungry, it's getting quite late.
Well, yeah, you're just reeling off a few fast food pieces of a meal. There are other elements of a meal that you can get from a range of different takeouts. We see a really interesting team name there that the rest of us in the studio are struggling with, Amy. Does that have any particular meaning?
So I know that Mech means lightning, so hopefully they're going to be lightning fast down the track.
Brilliant stuff. I actually did see on their logo some lightning striking, so there's a nice link in their team identity. Well done there. Great teams, great track times for both teams. Well done. Let's get back on track.
Well, I'm not even going to try, Amy. I'm just going to say that in race two, they stay in the same lanes.
And Poseidon going very quick again with a 1.280. Mechtamolin going 1.386.
Wow, this is going to be a fast entry class region, I think. It looks like it anyway. We normally see times of around a 1.3 to 1.4. Lawrence, is there anything in particular that might be giving us those slightly faster times?
You know, so far the cars have looked really smart, which makes a big difference. But, you know, just from those intro videos, the teams here seem so excited about F1 in Schools, which is great to see. It's so sad that we're not in person getting that energy from them live, but I can see how passionate they all are, and that is why we've got such a competitive entry class.
Yeah, we love all that energy. Maybe we all need a Coca-Cola or a Diet Coke or something just to get us going. But anyway, let's head out on track for race number 3.
I prefer the non-sugary version there, Tom. With Poseidon still in lane, now in lane 1, and Amy, team in lane 2?
And Mechtamolin in lane 2 with a 1.360. Poseidon posting a 1.327. Very quick indeed.
Absolutely brilliant, and it's beautiful to hear how it's said properly, Amy. It sounds fantastic, and Poseidon, you know, not really getting a look in our conversation at the moment, but actually posting some incredibly good times. A really good car there, and again that great kind of theme flowing through their name into their car as well, and their team identity. So really well done for that. I can see Max giving us the double thumbs up outside. So let's head out on track.
Right, final race, Poseidon and...
I want you to do it this time.
Oh, I'm not going to even try, Amy.
And Poseidon winning that race again with a 1.334. And everyone say it with me. Methemolin. No?
Machthemolin.
Yeah.
I tried,
again
guys.
with a 1.402. Great job, guys.
Well, let's check out the leaderboard and check out my Welsh. And there we have it, Poseidon in position 2 with a 1.280. They have a clean bill of health. And Methemolin, not bad. They're in 4th position with a 1.345, but they do have an asterisk next to their name, which means they are under investigation. But look how tight that leaderboard is. All the teams in really, really close with the times that they are posting. So top stuff, well done to their teams. So let's head out on track. Let's check out our next 2 teams.
And the next 2 entry class cars we have are Airborne and Lightning. A little bit easier to say for everyone.
Absolutely, a little bit easier for us to say. But again, 2 very good-looking teams here. And again, they've got that similar kind of shape and design to our first 2 cars, Lawrence.
Yeah, like at first glance they look quite similar, but Airborne are making efforts not to go airborne. We can see they've got some quite steep angles on their front and rear wings, creating a bit of downforce. I mean, it'll be interesting to hear from the team kind of why that was, because, you know, there's the potential thought that, you know, squashing the wheels into the track might actually create a bit extra friction. But, you know, as long as those wings are legal, that's the most important part. Lightning, they're a little heavy, but I am actually liking those less aggressive angles on their wings, and you can see some nice aerofoil shapes there that should have low drag.
Great stuff, thanks for this stats, Lawrence. Let's get to race number 1 and see what happens.
Right, in lane 1 we have Team Airborne, and in lane 2 Lightning.
And Airborne doing an amazing job there with a 1.388. Lightning, I think, with a little bit of room to go quicker with a 1.512.
Solid start from both teams, posting some good times, so well done. There's some really cool looking colours and themes flowing through. Amy, you liked the team identity part of your time in F1 in schools. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, team identity was really important to myself and the rest of the team. We just think it's really important to have a really clear, concise identity that you can carry through all project elements. So it's really important at the start to pick a name and a colour and kind of make sure you incorporate this the whole way through the competition. But then also it's really important to develop your logos and your identity as you progress on through. So we've heard from Unity in another regional final about how they kind of evolved and developed their logos. So change isn't a bad thing, but it's always good to kind of keep it in the back of the mind. Brilliant.
And you see that in the F1 teams as well, don't you, out on track with their identities flowing through their uniforms and their cars and all of their branding. So a really important part of the programme. Right, well, let's get out on track and check out the next race.
Race number 2, Airborne, Lightning.
And Airborne posting another very good time there with a 1.422. Lightning posting a 1.597.
That's brilliant stuff again from both teams. Getting that consistency all times below 1.6 seconds as well, which is really, really impressive. So really, really well done. Lawrence, it takes a lot of time, I assume, when you were competing to come up with that design that you wanted and all the different elements. Is that something that you enjoyed, or was it something that you found frustrating?
Oh, definitely something we enjoyed. I mean, to be honest, for me, there was nothing more exciting than new regulations. A way of getting like a step over the other competition. Because, you know, these designs develop over a number of years. You look at your competition, you take inspiration. So any chance to start with a clean slate, I think, was pretty exciting. But the most important thing, I think, is to really always go back to some kind of baseline, just to make sure that you're not chasing down some rabbit hole where you might actually not be getting a good return. You need something to look back on and say, you know, this was an improvement in this field, you know, just to capitalise on any gains that you can find.
Brilliant stuff, thanks for that, Lawrence. Okay, let's get out on track and see the teams in different lanes.
Race number 3, now with Team Lightning in lane 1 and Team Airborne in lane 2. Lights out.
And Airborne doing another great job with a 1.407. Lightning going a little bit quicker with a 1.520.
Great work again from the teams. Another great race. Really, really close work between them. I love the angles that we've got out on track. Love seeing those cars rolling to the finish line incredibly fast indeed. I think we've got a thumbs up out there from Amy, so let's get out straight away and see what happens in race number 4.
Race number 4, still in the same lanes.
And Airborne take a full house with a very quick 1.337. Lightning going a little bit slower with a 1.620.
Yeah, maybe the effects of the 4th race there on Team Lightning just slowing them down ever so slightly. Let's check out the leaderboard then. So you can see there, Airborne with a clean bill of health have gone into 4th position with that 1.337, really close in the middle there. And you've got Team Lightning in 6th position with that 1.512, very respectable time of course, and again not too far off the rest of the pack in there. And again, that consistency is really key. Before we see the next 2 teams, why is consistency a key, Nelson? What is it about the racing? Is it just the fastest time that we're looking for to score the most points?
No, and it's actually not about competing with a team against a team on the other lane as an elimination race. That's more for the nationals and world finals where the knockout happens. It's not about logging those 4 consistent times. And, if we think back to when the car is assembled and then think about it, right, will my car be the same after each race? How you assemble it kind of becomes critical. Will it sustain the pressures of racing? Will it sustain the pressures of the deceleration system? All of this needs to be accounted into the big equation of the racing.
Great stuff. Well, lots to consider for our teams, and I think you've all done a cracking job so far, so really well done. Let's check out the next 2 teams, and I think our final pairing, Amy, for the entry class.
Well, let's see if either of these 2 teams can knock the number 1 spot right now. So Bont Panthers and Apollo Racing. I love Apollo Racing's colour scheme. It's giving Ronald McDonald vibes.
I love that. And Bont Panthers there with loads of decals in comparison to Apollo Racing. Could that be the difference, Lawrence?
Well, I'd hope that those decals were pretty flat, so it shouldn't make any difference to the aerodynamic performance of the car. But obviously, it's really cool to see, those sponsors of the team getting that exposure out there on their car, because ultimately it's the sponsors that get the teams to the tracks by providing their experience, maybe some kind of in-kind sponsorship or funding. So that's really cool to see. Both cars actually completely different concepts here, which is exciting to see. So we've got these wider side pods on the Bont Panthers, really enclosing the area between the front and the rear wheels, whereas Apollo Racing have gone for that kind of narrower design. As we can see as a result, they're a bit lighter there, but we'll have to get to the racing to see who wins and gets the Happy Meal.
Let's get out there and find out and see who wins that Happy Meal indeed. Race number 1 then, please.
Race number 1 with Bont Panthers and Apollo Racing.
And I think Apollo Racing are going to be very happy with that, with a 1.475. Bont Panthers posting a 1.535.
Oh, 2 really strong scores there for the first 2 races, and really competitive as well, very close with one another as they get across that line. It's such small margins, Amy, between the teams. Did you find that something difficult to overcome when you were competing?
Yeah, it's definitely hard because there are so many factors that can impact how quick a car is. So a lot of the times I think F1 in Schools teams struggle to actually determine what it is that's making their car slow. So it's kind of important to, when you're in that iterative design phase, to replace different parts and to see if you can kind of isolate which component has the most effect on your car. So a lot of the times people will replace rear wings and front wings and swap them out and see which car gets the best performance.
Great stuff, Amy. Thanks for that. Well, let's get out on track and check out race number 2.
Race number 2 with the team still in the same lanes. Lights coming on. Lights out.
Wow, and what a close race that was. Bont Panthers taking that one with a 1.481. Apollo Racing 3 1,000ths behind with a 1.484.
Wow, that was a really close race, wasn't it? So little time difference between the two teams. It's really exciting to watch. I hope you guys are really excited as well and watching that. And as we've mentioned before, the award show is live tomorrow, so we want to see you there. And we want you to get involved with the awards. Don't forget, you can comment on this stream as you're watching it live, so please do get involved and make some comments. And likewise, tomorrow when the show goes out live for the award ceremony, you'll be able to do the same. Hopefully you're wishing each other well. Don't forget to get that networking going as well. Like each other's social media channels, and don't forget to share anything you post linked to F1 in Schools and your teams through our channels. Okay, let's get out. I think the cars have switched lanes. Yep, let's get out on track.
Race 3 now with the cars in the different lanes, with Apollo Racing in lane 1 and Bond Panthers in lane 2.
And that was a win for Apollo Racing with a 1.426. Bond Panthers going a little bit slower with a 1.511.
Well done to both teams, building those consistent times up. Hopefully that'll help you boost your points and up the ranks. But let's find out in the fourth and final race, see how you do.
Final race. I think this one is going to be close, Amy. Let's see who takes it.
Who are you betting on, Nelson?
There you go.
Can't
Didn't have the
now.
time to bet.
Apollo Racing wins that one again with a 1.416. Bond Panthers going a little bit quicker with a 1.567.
Brilliant stuff. Well, those scores are all loaded and ready in our leaderboard, so let's see what's happening. And here we go. Apollo Racing flagged under investigation in 6th position with a 1.416, and Bont Panthers in position 7. Clean bill of health. Well done to that team with a 1.481. Well done to all of our entry class teams. You've all done a fantastic job. That was a great entry class region for racing with some incredibly fast times amongst all of you. So really, really well done. You should be very proud of what you've achieved today. But don't forget, you've achieved much, much more in your portfolio and verbal presentations. So you can find out how well you've done in tomorrow's show. We're going to move on, and we're going to start looking at the development class. And Lawrence is just going to really quickly talk to us about some of the key changes between entry and development class.
So between the entry and development classes, there are 2 key changes. Those are that now you're not allowed to make your body out of any material you like. It's got to be CNC machined from the F1 in Schools model block. And the other change is that the minimum weight is dropped from 65 to 60 grams. So that means we should see cars going much faster. Still though, the 2 key performance differentiators will be the aerodynamics and the mass, as the cars still share the same wheel systems.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. That's really, 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 really good. Well, let's see if the teams can go large. What are our first 2 teams of development class, please?
Poor luck to all the teams in the development class, but we're going to be starting with Neutron Racing and Red Dawn Racing.
Wow, 2 great looking cars. Again, slightly different kind of elements to them. I can see from the rear wings and the front wings there. What are you pulling out, Lawrence?
Yeah, so we can see a more, it's a higher front wing on the Red Dawn car. Like from a front view, you'd see it covering up more of that front wheel. I think they're just trying to direct that air over the front wheel so it doesn't get spun up and become turbulent. Both teams having that high rear wing kept out of the turbulent air, so it should be more effective. But we do see the Red Dawn Racing with that fantastic fade effect. I was never ambitious enough to attempt anything like that on my own cars. Does come in a bit lighter. So it'll be interesting to see that if the aerodynamics of the Neutron car can overcome that.
Well, thank you very much for that, Lawrence. Some really in-depth stats there. Let's get out on track and find out what happens in race number 1.
Race number 1, lane 1, Neutron Racing, lane 2, Red Dawn Racing.
And Red Dawn Racing take that one with a 1.398. Neutron Racing close behind with a 1.404.
Wow, good, 2 good times again. We'd expect the times to get a little bit faster, Lawrence, but the entry class times are so fast that actually we'll probably find some similar times to what we saw there in the entry class, I assume.
Exactly, and I think what was really interesting to see in that race with those really close times, we've got the lighter car getting that faster start off the marks, but I think our other team that was just that bit heavier, I think the car might have been assembled maybe a little better. So all of the parts were perfectly in line, which meant as the gas canister ran out of air, it was just able to carry that bit more momentum, and we were so close to an on-track overtake there.
Excellent. Well, let's get out and see if we can get an overtake this time in race 2.
Race 2. Teams still in the same lanes. Let's see what's going to happen.
And there we have it, the car from Connors Key, Newton Racing winning that race with a 1.379. Red Dawn Racing a little bit slower with a 1.523.
Great racing again from both teams, well done. Posting some really, really good times, and again, that consistent approach is really important. And Nelson, in the entry class, there's just a design portfolio and a verbal presentation. What more do the development class teams have to do to submit and score points in this section?
Well, development class is getting them ready to the professional class demands, and where the students actually have to prepare multiple project elements like a verbal presentation, an engineering portfolio, an enterprise portfolio, and even involving project management. Super exciting. So in development class, it's kind of a little bit lower than that, while in professional class, you have to do a 10-page portfolio. It's only 5 for development. So getting them ready for professional class, getting a little bit more demanding than entry class.
Great stuff, thanks Nelson. And our judges have been judging all of these portfolio elements, so we're really exciting to find out how everyone's done on the award show tomorrow. So I think the cars have switched lanes. Let's check out race number 3.
Right. Race number 3 with the cars in the different lanes, Red Dawn Racing and Neutron Racing.
And Neutron Racing take that one again with a 1.343. Red Dawn Racing with a 1.445.
Again, getting closer, Red Dawn Racing to Neutron. Well done, both of you, for posting 2 fantastic times. We've got one more race between this pairing before we move on, so let's get out onto track and let's see how they perform.
Race 4, final race. Who's going to take it? I'm going to bet this time, Amy, Red Dawn.
And bad luck, Nelson, you owe me a McFlurry. Neutron Racing winning that one with a 1.392. Red Dawn Racing with a 1.502.
I love that there's a bit of stuff at stake now. Let's see how that progresses as we go through. But commentator's curse for Nelson there. So really sorry to Red Dawn Racing. But you've done yourselves proud as of Neutron Racing. So let's see how the development class track time table looks. So there we have Neutron Racing in position 1 with a 1.343 and Red Dawn Racing in position 2 with a 1.398, but both teams are flagged for under investigation. Can our next 2 teams get a clear bill of health? Let's check out who they are, Amy.
And the next 2 cars on track are Horse Force and Team Extreme.
Horse Force. That's a really different name to what we've been seeing, and Team Extreme as well. I like the logo, how that links into the team identity. 2 great-looking cars we've got there, Lawrence, with very glossy surfaces.
Yeah, 2 beautiful finishes there, and surface finish, I mean, is a reflection generally of like the attention to detail a team's made, but it can also make a difference to speed. We noticed that not all of the Formula 1 cars, in fact, have the same finish. Some are gloss, some are matte. There is a theory that the matte surface can actually have a bit less flow separation. The air does what you want it to do over the car, but obviously it can't make too much of a difference, otherwise all of the F1 teams would do it. Anyway, more inspiration from F1 teams being taken as Horse Force have what I believe is a multi-element front wing, and we'll come back to that later. But that really should mean that that should be ultra effective in getting that air over the front wheels. Team Extreme has got this extremely lightweight car with this swept back design. Let's see how they could do in the racing. But what was really cool to see actually was that in our last round that it wasn't weight which got the fastest time. So while we do talk about the mass often, that isn't what always decides it, and teams should really look for those advantages in both weight and aerodynamics.
So really careful engineering needs to take place, and it's not just about those scales, it's also about those aerodynamic features on your cars. Let's head out on track and see race 1.
Race 1 between Horse Force and Team Extreme.
And Team Extreme take that one with a 1.354. Horse Force could probably use a bit of help from that prancing stallion on the front of the car with a 1.451.
Yeah, 2 good times again, starting off the round really, really well with some strong times. Let's see if they have coped well with the deceleration system and see if they can go faster in race number 2. We're ready on track. Yep, thanks Amy, let's go.
Race number 2 with the team still in the same lanes. And I think I'm going to raise you that bet, Amy, with a Sunday for Team Extreme.
Ah, Nelson, you win that one with a 1.385. Well done, Team Extreme. Horse Force with a 1.458.
Well, there's lots of ice cream things out here.
I got so fat, Amy.
You are. Let's hope you don't introduce apple pies into the mix there. The teams are just going to be currently sort of switching lanes there. Amy, you went straight into professional class, I believe. Did that have an impact? Do you wish you'd done development class when you started competing?
Yeah, I was really lucky that my team managed to, the first event we entered our regional nationals, and then we got to the world finals in our first year competing, so we were really lucky for that. But I do wish that we'd kind of had the chance to progress through the classes, and if we'd started even development, we might have been a little bit more confident in our car. Our car was always kind of our weakest area and the one that we had to work the most on. So I think if we had taken the time to go through the different classes, we might have been just confident enough and we would have been able to kind of do a little better, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so it is doable getting in that professional class straight away, but it's incredibly difficult, and probably in getting some experience with your car in the development class might have helped, but you did get through to the world in your first way through, which is incredibly lucky, I'd say. Let's get out on track then, see race 3.
Race 3 with the teams in the opposite lanes. Team Extreme in lane 1, Horse Force in lane 2.
And Horse Force winning there with a 1.400. Team Extreme very close behind with a 1.445.
So we're seeing lane 1 there getting 3 out of the 3 out of 3 in terms of results, Lawrence. Is there a faster lane?
I'd say that was there was more myth than truth in that. I mean, our track team, who spends a long time making sure both lanes are equal, are never happy hearing about that. Like, before the racing happens, we fire a number of test cars down each side to ensure they're equal. I think what we're seeing more here is that, you know, it'll be the first time that some of these cars have raced, which means that, you know, these wheel systems can be a bit tight, and it takes a few races for them to loosen up and face a little less resistance upon that launch, just meaning they get that faster getaway and a better time.
Great stuff, thanks for that, Lawrence. So let's see what happens and who will take it in the 4th and final race of this pairing.
4th and final race for Team Extreme and Team Horse Force.
And what a way to end the racing. So close. Horse Force winning that one with a 1.468. Team Extreme just 3 1/1000ths behind with a 1.471.
Wow, very, very close race indeed. Well, let's see how that's affected the leaderboard. There we have it, Team Extreme with a 1.354, just behind Neutron Racing and Horse Force there in position 4 with a 1.400. It's a really compact leaderboard there with not much difference between our teams. Every team is flagged under investigation as well at the moment, and I believe we've only got one development class car left, so let's find out who they are.
And we have our final solo racing. Let's go Bimu. Bimu?
Bimu. Let's go with Bimu. Please do comment on the chat and let us know if we're wrong, and if we're right, give us the thumbs up. A really interesting looking car. The wing it looks to me like it maybe doesn't have one, or there's something behind the rear wheels there, Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very fluid kind of natural shape to the car, very flowing. I expect aerodynamically it's very good, but I would expect to see this car flag to be under investigation because I can't see those defined wings at the moment.
Well, let's find out, and let's check out race number 1.
I think they tried to go with the rocket shape, so let's see if it's going to be fast. So Team Bimu in lane 1. No team in lane 2, but that doesn't really matter. The important thing is to log all of those 4 great times. And the system, here you go.
And our first time for BMU registers at a 1.481.
Pretty solid start there from BMU then, and hopefully they can improve on that time as the races start, as the races keep going on for this team. You can see Max loading in the canister and yet putting the start gate ready. Let's head out on track for race number 2.
Race number 2 for Team BMU. And lights out. And now just to explain again, Tom, the reason why we're not seeing the time immediately is the race system is just waiting to see if anyone is finishing on lane 2.
Which they are not. BMU posted a time of 1.418 for the second race.
Wow, yeah, again, another consistent time. So well done to BMU there in that race, performing really, really well. What was the thing for you, Lawrence, when you were competing? Because I believe that you went straight into professional class as well. What was the thing that your team found most difficult about that?
Yeah, so for us, the reason we started in professional class was we actually became aware of F1 in schools quite late. So our first year was year 11, so we reckoned, you know, we had to get the job done, jump straight there in professional class. But I'd say, again, with Amy, it's, you know, there is this massive book of regulations for the professional class. So, you know, that first event, you do have a car that does fail some rules. But the most important thing I'd say is that you never make these mistakes twice. And how well or not you do, I think it's really important after each competition to analyse what you did well and what maybe you need to improve on, just so that each competition you can do incrementally better. And I think that's what we did. We competed for 3 years without the kind of, I wouldn't say good fortune, but skill of Amy's team to get to the World Finals in the first year. But we made it there in our third, improving each year. And I'd say that's just really important.
Excellent advice there, Lawrence. Thank you very much. Right, well, let's head out on track and see if the car's ready. And it is.
The car is ready. Great job, Max and Amy, by the way. Lights out. And we should be there.
And there we have BMU's third time of a 1.468.
Wow, another consistent time there, posting in the 1.4 seconds again. It'll be really interesting to see how BMU go into our leaderboard when we get there after one more race. So Team BMU, get yourselves cheering. You are the last race of the development class for the 2022 regionals in Wales. Let's see how you can do.
Final race for Team BMU in lane 2.
Could do with some music here, couldn't we, at this point in the show, where we wait for the system to work.
And there we have a time a little bit slower for BMU, but their fourth and final time of 1.523.
Yeah, that is a little bit slower, but still they've done themselves proud and posted some really good times. So well done to Team BMU. Let's check out the leaderboard then, please. Well, let's see how BMU have done, and there they are in position 5. With a 1.418. It's really close, compact leaderboard, not much between all of our five teams here, which is really, really good to see, and it shows really strong competition from the region in Wales. So well done to all 5 teams there. You've done an absolutely amazing job, and it looks like you're probably ready to get yourselves into the professional class next season. Before we do go over to our professional class, Lawrence is going to share some words of wisdom that you might want to bring into your designs next year.
So we've talked about multi-element wings a few times throughout the regional finals, so I thought I'd explain to you how those work. So to start with, we'll just look at how a normal aerofoil works. We have this airflow, low speed over the top surface, and medium to high speed below. It's travelling that bit further, so we see it does need to travel faster. That leads us having high pressure on one side, lower pressure on the other, and that is what creates our downforce. However, when we have this large chord of the wing, we struggle with flow separation on the lower side. So this is what a multi-element wing combats. We see that having this gap between the surface of the wing actually allows us to feed air to the underside, allowing us to keep it energized. We can see it goes to high speed. We get a bigger pressure differential and we get more downforce. Now it's up to you guys to decide whether you want downforce or lift, or maybe neither on your car. So it's worth thinking about like the weight distribution on the car and what effect that has as the car runs down the track.
Wow, Lawrence, great for that. Thank you for that information. This live broadcast will be available on our YouTube channel afterwards. So if you didn't quite catch everything in there, or you want to pause and rewind and get another lesson from Lawrence, you will be able to do so at the end of the show. So please bear that in mind, and please do use the excellent advice from Lawrence, because it's incredibly helpful, but I'm sure you already are aware of that advice anyway. Right, we're ready for our professional class now. We're really excited for the professional class in Wales. Let's see our first two teams, Amy.
And our first two professional teams racing in this Welsh Regionals are F1 Zemo, please tell me if I did that wrong, and Hypernova.
Yeah, I was going to say Fismo, but it definitely is F1 Zemo. I think. But please do let us know. Again, we're not doing great, are we, in this region? And we've got Hypernova there. I really like the colours of both teams. And I think we can see some standard wheels there as well, Lawrence. So one team opting not to go for the different wheel system.
Yeah, so I might expect those standard wheels to hold Fismo back a bit. I mean, I kind of understand where they come from. There's so much to design on an F1 in Schools car. They've clearly chosen to focus on the aerodynamics, and I'm sure they're going to work out really well. But obviously, Hypernova utilising the ability to design their own wheels in the professional class. And we can see, look, they're hollow in the centre. They've got that really thin outer wall, so they're going to be low weight. That's a low weight to get spinning, and they should have a really fast start.
Thanks, Lawrence. I think Nelson's mentioned or noticed something about Fismo, or F1 Zmo. Do you want to enlighten us, Nelson?
I'm not sure, but I think it's actually F1 2MO.
F1 2MO or F1 2MO. Who knows?
But the team can leave us a comment. By the way, subscribe to the channel to receive all notifications about our releases.
Up here, or is it?
Don't know.
It's somewhere.
We are not great YouTubers.
We're absolutely not great YouTubers at all. But we've got two great looking cars here, so let's get out and see race number one.
Race number one with F1 2MO in lane 1 and Hypernova in lane 2.
And the car from Merthyr Tydfil taking that one with a 1.352. Hypernova very close behind with a 1.390.
Solid start there for our two teams, getting the times they've got. Lawrence, what kind of times would you expect as a ballpark for a good time in the professional class?
You know, when you see the teams getting into the 1.1 seconds, that's a really good time that'll be competitive at the national finals. You know, maybe we'll see the odd 1.0 something, but at that stage, you're looking to be at the top of the field at a world finals. It was really interesting in our last lineup with F12 Mo maybe taking a bit of inspiration from an F12 Raptor. They overcame that larger weight and using the standard wheels to take the win there, which I thought was very impressive.
And maybe that's part of their engineering process, and that'll be somewhere documented in their portfolios, I am sure. Right, let's head out on track and check out race number 2.
Right, race number 2 between what we hope is F1 2MO and Hypernova.
And it's a win for, I'm going to go with Fismo, 1.254, Hypernova with a 1.304.
Breaking that 1.3 second barrier there with Fismo. Great work, and two really consistent races here, getting great times in some really close racing. It's great to see such differences, but achieving very similar times on our track while they're racing. So yeah, kudos to both teams, well done. And again, it just shows you it's not just about weight. Many different elements do make a massive difference in this challenge. I think that's bought us enough time for the cars to be switched over in terms of lanes. Let's get out and see race number 3.
Race number 3. So Max and Amy have swapped the cars to different lanes, and Hypernova in lane 1, F1 2MO in lane 2.
And Hypernova going under the 1.3s with a 1.273. F1 2MO with a 1.317.
Great work from both teams there. Again, switching who's taking the win in that third race there with two really good teams. And again, really consistent time. So great construction from both teams. Let's head out and check out race number 4, the final one of this pairing.
And we do apologize, team, if we simply do not know what to call you, but I'm still going to go with F1 2MO and Hypernova.
And what a close race that was. A win for F1 Zedmo with a 1.272. Hypernova very close behind with a 1.298.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, Team Fismo or Team F12MO. We do apologise. And that's one of the elements that we're missing in person. We love when you're in person, you can tell us what your team names are. We can all get really excited and we can all get involved with that. So yeah, please do a social media post if you want and share it with us so we can find out what your team name is. We'd love to hear it and we'd love to share it on our channel as well. So well done to both teams. Let's check out the leaderboard for the professional class. There we go. In position 1, it's Team Fismo. I'm going to stick with that one. And it's getting a time of 1.254 and just pipping Hypernova with a 1.273. Both teams are under investigation. So let's find out how the next two teams compare.
And our next two teams are going to be Team Tanwen and Team Firestorm.
Both team names with a team at the start there. So we've got Team Tanwen and Team Firestorm, a little bit easier to say, but looking a little bit more similar, but Lawrence is going to tell us what differences he can find here.
Well, we have two lean machines here, both being within 0.5 of a gram and right at that minimum limit for both. And actually, I'd say you're right there, Tom. We've got some very similar concepts here. We've got this wing mounted on the top, getting the clear airflow beneath. Maybe Team Tanwen, who are 0.5 of a gram lighter, saving a bit of weight on those supports, although they do look a little more fragile. Hopefully we won't see any breakages in this round. Similar side pod concept, feeding the air in between those rear wheels, and also with pods behind the rear wheels, there to tidy up the turbulent air which comes off the wheels, making them into some nice laminar flow and reducing the drag behind the car.
Brilliant stuff. Well, I am certainly excited about this race. I think and hope you guys are as well. So let's find out what happens in race number 1.
Race number 1, in lane 1, Team Tanwen, and lane 2, Team Firestorm.
Wow, Firestorm absolutely cooking up a storm there with a 1.142. Team Tanwen going quick, but not as quick as Team Firestorm with a 1.204.
First team there breaking that 1.2 barrier, so well done Team Firestorm. That was a really impressive time, and Team Tanwen not too far behind with a 1.204. I wonder if Team Tanwen can break that 1.2 second barrier before the end of these set of races. So let's get straight out there because I'm really excited to find out.
Right, so still in same lanes for race number 2 and lights out.
Team Tanwen taking that one with a 1.208. Team Firestorm going a little bit slower with a 1.281.
Wow, really consistent from Team Tanwen, a 1.204 I believe, and then coming in with a 1.208, so close to breaking that barrier. Really good designs and with the teams. And if our teams make it through the regionals to the nationals, Amy, what would you say is the most important thing to do in terms of their development in the professional class? Is it that they should completely redesign their car? Should they stick with what they're doing? Or should they just completely change nothing? What would you suggest?
I think changing nothing would be a really big mistake. So you can always learn from every single competition you do. So even if it is regionals to nationals, nationals to worlds is a very big jump. You want to make sure you've got the best foot forward for worlds. But to make sure nationals goes as well as possible for the teams that want to get to worlds, you need to make sure that you do some design iterations. So like I said, whether it's changing a front wing or if in the worst case scenario, if a car breaks, that's definitely something you think you need to change. So a lot of the times in our regionals, we'd use it as a testing ground to test some of our trickier designs to see if they would cope on the deceleration system or if they would break, and then we would need to change them.
Great advice from Amy there. Brilliant. Thank you for that. So let's get out on track then, see what happens in our next race.
Race number 3 with the cars in different lanes. Team Firestorm now in lane 1, Team Tanwen in lane 2.
And Firestorm really slowing down from that first race with a 1.37. Team Tanwen, however, taking that win with a 1.211.
So Team Firestorm getting a bit slower. Lawrence, is that to do with the bearings potentially? Is that to do with the deceleration system? What kind of advice could you offer here?
You know, we haven't seen any breakages, so I'd say maybe not so much to do with the deceleration system, but the bearings are a really key factor when you get to the professional class. And I'm actually sure that if we were in person, all of the teams would be experts on bearings, because when you get to the professional class, you've looked at steel, ceramic, hybrid bearings, you know everything. And one thing we can see is, you know, these bearings have lubrication in them, which just helps keep the rotation in them. But you can remove the lubrication. This can mean there's a little less friction and they go around a bit faster. But as a result, if there is any debris on track, just even the tiniest particles, that can get in there and mean that you do see a bit slower times race by race. That is a factor in the professional class.
Something worth checking out then for Team Firestorm, maybe. Let's find out what happens in race 3 then.
Race number 4, actually, Tom, final race for Team Firestorm and Team Tanwen.
And it looks like we spoke too soon on Team Firestorm, and they win that race with a 1.214. Team Tanwen going very well again with a 1.270.
I'm clearly loving this set of races and I didn't want them to end. I was sticking with race 3 there. Apologies for that. But yeah, two more great times, really competitive teams, really well done. Let's see how that's affected our leaderboard. And here we have it. There's Team Firestorm firing into position 1 with a clean bill of health. The only team so far to do that. Kudos to you guys. Over 1.142, a fantastic time. And Team Tanwen with an equally good time, a 1.204. Really good work to you guys. Again, you are under investigation, but you can find out what that means in tomorrow's awards show. So we've got one more round of racing in this region left, and Amy's really excited to announce that this team is
Imperium.
Team Imperium, with such enthusiasm there, Amy. Really cool looking colours. That gold and black offsets quite nicely. It's got a kind of royal theme to it. I like that a lot. Lawrence, what can you pull out for us?
So just something I'm sure, like if I was one of the competitors to Imperium, I'd be a bit worried there looking and seeing the weight listed as 49.7 grams. So I thought we should let you know that no car actually races underweight. And in fact, for every gram underweight, the F1 in Schools team will put 2 grams on. So I'd be expecting Imperium to be running at 50.3 grams now. So that's the little penalty for breaking that regulation. Otherwise, it does look like a very smart car. I'm loving that classic black and gold colour scheme. And it's a very compact car. That's obviously how they've got such a light car.
Great stuff. It sounds like we're all loving it, aren't we? Right, let's get out and see race number 1.
Race number 1, Imperium. Let's see how they record their 4 times. Of course, they're racing alone, not that that matters. And the race system is just going to take a little bit longer to give us the race result.
And it was definitely worth the wait. Imperium posting an absolutely amazing 1.165.
That was an imperious time there, 1.165. Wow. Really good time on track there, which is really good to see. So clearly that extra weight penalty that they've got hasn't slowed them down too much. But I wonder what would have happened if they had come in just on weight and been bang on 50 grams. It might have made a little difference. It might have made no difference, but I guess we'll not know at all. So let's see race 2.
Race 2, still with the team in the same lane. Trying to do an elevated song there.
And Imperium saving us from that elevator song from Nelson with a 1.234. It couldn't come quick enough.
1, 2, 3, 4. Very unique time coming there. Like to see that a lot. It's always cool to see those little twerks that we see on the track. But well done to Imperium, posting another good time and slightly slower than their first race. I wonder if they're going to be able to break that 1.2 barrier again, or maybe their bearings have got some little particles getting in and slowing them down ever so slightly, as Lawrence mentioned in our previous set of races. Now I can see Amy delighted to have made a final change of the cars in this region. So let's see how the car performs in race number 3.
I'm sure there was no full-fat Fanta or Sprite in there. There was just water. That's why they're becoming faster and faster here. But let's see if the strategy worked.
And you jinxed it, Nelson. A little bit slower from Imperium with a 1.227.
Yeah, jinxed. Curse of the commentator. Once again, if you want to comment on that in the chat, then please do. But a very, very good race again from Imperium. Sorry, I said Nelson then. The team is not called Nelson. Nelson is here in the studio. Now, we have one more race of this region. What do you reckon, guys? Do you reckon Imperium can finish it off in style?
I think they'll give us a good race to finish.
I think they're going to go under 1.2 seconds. Let's find out.
Let's see if that's going to happen, Tom. Let's go Imperium in lane 2. Oh, the suspense is killing me. Come on, race system.
And everyone at Imperium deserves a wrap of the day with a 1.180 to finish today's racing.
Wow, and they did go under 1.2 seconds. I was absolutely right there. It was really impressive to see that. What an amazing time we've got there to finish our day's racing. Now, it's going to get exciting. Let's see where that places Imperium in the table. Oh, second position there, just behind Team Firestorm. They are under investigation, as are Team 2, 3, 4 and 5, with that 1.165. Incredibly close racing. Really, really tight leaderboard. Some exciting stuff going on there. Well done to all of our professional class teams. You've done a fantastic job at such an exciting region there. Really enjoyed that one. So we have actually got a final leaderboard that has all of the teams together with all of your teams in all of your times, against each class. So let's have a look at the final leaderboard. And here it is. Ooh, look at Team Apex in 5th position there from their entry class with their 1.270 in and amongst the pro teams. And Poseidon, Axel and Airborne from the entry class also doing a great job and getting into the top 9. So well done. Obviously Team Firestorm taking the overall time of 1.142 and Neutron Racing from the development class with their time of 1.343. So I definitely think that you should be looking at how you've performed and starting to prepare yourselves for the next class. It looks like lots of our teams are ready to move up the classes. So get registered, nag your teachers, make sure you're in it to win it in the 2023 season. And also make sure you're watching the award show tomorrow so you can find out who's going to the national final, who takes the overall award for the region, and who takes all the other awards as well. Just wanted to say a massive well done, thank you to the students. The amount of work and effort that you put into your project is astounding, and you can see from the racing today how close it all is and how amazing you've all done, so really well done. Also, your teachers who back you up, they do an absolutely amazing job. We really, really appreciate the time that they give to you and the support that they give to our competition. So once again, thank you very much to all of our teachers.
Let's not forget that it's not just work, work, work. The teams need to have fun. They are working as a team. So guys, after the award celebration, like you would do in any normal physical event, go and celebrate, have a Mackey's, have a fillet of fish or a McTasty or whatever you want, what's your preference. Guys, just have fun, be together and get ready for the next season.
Yeah, thanks for that, Nelson. yeah, please do have fun. And again, there are other takeaways that you can get, not just McDonald's. There's definitely other things out there. But yeah, excellent work from you all, students and teachers. So make sure you do tuck into something nice and tasty. Leaves me now, finally, after all that madness, to say a massive thank you to Lawrence, who's here in the studio, who's done a fantastic job. Nelson and Amy as well, here with us, and Amy with her Welsh knowledge. It was beautiful the way you pronounced some of those words.
Diane to all the teams there.
Thank you very much for that again, Amy. I'm not going to try and replicate that.
That's what she said.
Yeah, but I will just say again, a massive thank you from me, Tom, and we can't wait to see you tomorrow at the awards show. See you soon.